And therefore, we could say that Jesus is the Son of God incarnate. Nasa laman, He is the very Son of God incarnate. He is the very incarnation of our God. In the book of, in our text this morning, we could actually clearly see that as translated in the New International Version of the Bible. Look at that in Philippians chapter 2, verse 6. Who, being very nature God, so crystal clear. Jesus Christ was or is God because He possessed the very nature of God. And this is what we solemnly believe and we are persuaded about. We believe that Jesus Christ is God because He is the very Son of God. And that is a big piece of doctrine right there for us to believe. You cannot have a wrong belief of Jesus and expect salvation. You cannot adhere to a mistaken belief of Jesus. And there are many mistaken beliefs of Jesus. For example, there are people today who believe that Jesus is but a man, that Jesus Christ through and through is just a human being. They believe that Jesus Christ is not the very Son of God, but just a created being, like one of the angels. Some even believe that Jesus Christ is but a prophet, that Jesus Christ did not enjoy what theologians call as pre-existence. But the Bible clearly teaches, brethren, that before becoming a man, Jesus is God. John chapter 1 in verse 1, you can use that verse to cross-reference Philippians chapter 2 verse 6. It says there, in the beginning is the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. To God be the glory. That word there is in reference to Jesus. Word there in Greek logos is not mere utterance. It is not mere word that is produced by the sound coming from our faculty of speech. Because this is what some churches believe, that they say Jesus, yes, had pre-existence, but He did not pre-existed as God's Son, but He existed only as a mere thought. As a mere thought. Just a word. But we understand that Jesus Christ did not pre-exist as a mere thought, as a mere utterance, but He had the personality of God. May katauhan siya, may personalidad siya na Diyos. Again, it says there in that verse, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word is God. He did not pre-existed in some kind of a vacuum or some kind of an esoteric existence. No, He had a personality. In fact, Jesus Christ was the very representation of the Father who is unseen. So if you want to see the Father, all you need to do is look at the Son. Because the Son resembles the perfect being of the Father. You can actually see that in the book of Hebrews in chapter 1 in verse 3. The Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of His being. Jesus is the representation. He represented the Father on earth. And so Jesus Christ said to Philip, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father. Now, some Pentecostal groups say, oh, Jesus is the Father. No. Jesus Christ didn't say He is the Father. Jesus Christ said He is the exact representation of the unseen God. To God be the glory. He had the very nature of God. In fact, in verse 14 of John chapter 1, you could read there that the Word became flesh. The Word became flesh. It wasn't an utterance, it wasn't a word, it wasn't some formation of air and, the product of faculty of speech that became a man. The one who became a man is God for being the Son of God. Yun ang nagkatawang tao. Yung Diyos sa pagiging anak ng Diyos. Kaya si Kristo ay Diyos sa pagiging anak ng Diyos, tao sa pagiging anak ng tao. That was His personality on earth. Christ is God for being the Son of God, man for being the Son of man. Came down to earth, took the form of a servant. Number 2, incarnation. Number 2, humiliation. I want you to notice the words I'm using so that you can remember them. Incarnation, nagkatawang tao, and then humiliation. When Jesus Christ came here, His profile is this: a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Why was He constantly sorrowful? Bakit siya laging malungkot? Christ was always sorrowful. Why? Because every day of His 33 years of human existence, every single day, He was bearing on His shoulders the weight of our sins. You know, sin is sad. Pag nabubuhay ka sa kasalanan, hindi ka masaya. Kahit ka magpakasaya, there is a gnawing emptiness inside you. Christ was no sinner, let me tell you that. But He bore our sins. Dala niya ang ating mga kasalanan. Yes. And throughout His life, all He did was identify with our weakness. All He did was rescue, redeem us, and salvage a dying world from sin. He was a servant. He healed sicknesses. He made the blind see. He made the lame walk. He made the dead rise to life. He fed the poor. He protected the downtrodden. He laughed with the kids. He put His arm over those who were misinterpreted, and he hang out with the prostitutes and with the tax collectors of His time. He was the man for all seasons. All the time He did was serve. And His service concluded in that glorious offering of His life. Ibinigay na buhay doon sa krus ng Kalbaryo. He opened up His arms and gave everything for a world. He came as a servant. Number 3, Jesus Christ served, ministration. His life was given for ministration or for service. To God be the glory. And so everything He did was for service. And He did His service out of humility. Jesus Christ did not had any issue with self-image. He knew who He was. Are you with me? He knew who He was. He knew He is the darling of heaven. He knew He is God's Son. He knew He was powerful, omniscient, omnipresent. He knew He had a glory in heaven. But because of service, He took them all out